I found out my wife was hiding something because she suddenly became perfect. And the worst part, I thought that meant she finally loved me the way I always wanted. If you had asked me about my marriage before that, I wouldn't have said it was bad, but I wouldn't have said it was good either. I was 45, married for 18 years. 2 kids, Liam, 16, and Harper, 11. We lived in Oregon. Quiet area, steady life, no chaos. My wife, Emily, wasn't distant. She was present, always there, always involved, always doing everything she was supposed to do. But something was missing. Not something obvious, just warmth. She didn't pull away. She just never fully leaned in. Conversations felt functional, not empty, but not alive either. We talked about schedules, bills, kids, daily things, but not much beyond that. And after a while, you get used to it. You tell yourself, this is just what long marriages look like. Stable, predictable, not exciting. And I accepted that. Until something changed. Not slowly, not gradually, all at once. Emily became perfect, not in a big, dramatic way, but in a way that felt intentional. She started paying attention to everything. The way I like my coffee, the shows I watched, the small details I had mentioned once years ago. She remembered them, used them, like she was studying me. At first, it felt good, really good, like something had finally clicked, like she had decided to choose me, to show up differently, to care more. She laughed more, touched my arm when she passed me, sat closer on the couch, asked questions she never used to ask. How was your day, really? That word, really, stood out, because it meant she wanted more than surface. And for a while, I believed it. I told myself, this is what I wanted. Connection, attention, finally. But there's a difference between natural change and something that feels rehearsed. And slowly, I started noticing it. Not what she was doing, but how. Everything felt too precise, like she was following a pattern, not reacting, performing. The first moment something fell off was small. It always is. I made a joke. Well, I've made before. She laughed, but it came too fast, too perfect, like she already knew when to react. Not because it was funny, because it was expected. I didn't say anything, because who questions something good? Who looks at improvement and thinks, something's wrong? So I ignored it. The second moment came a few days later. I mentioned something casually, a memory, something I hadn't thought about in years. She responded immediately, not just remembering it, but adding details. Too many details. Details I didn't remember telling her. That made me pause, just for a second, because it felt like she knew more about me. And she should have. Not in a romantic way, in a studied way, like she had gone back and learned me. The third moment was the one that stuck. We were sitting in the kitchen, late, quiet, and she looked at me in a way she hadn't in years. Soft, focused, intent. I've been thinking about us, she said. That sentence should have felt good, and part of me wanted it to. But something about it felt off. Not what she said, how she said it, like it had been practiced, like she had already said it somewhere else before saying it to me. I want us to be better, she added. That word again, better. But better doesn't usually arrive overnight. Better takes time. This didn't. This felt like a switch, and switches don't happen without a reason. That's when the thought hit me. Not fully, just enough. Enough to feel uncomfortable. Enough to notice. What if this wasn't about me? What if this wasn't something she discovered, but something she was trying to fix? Or worse, something she was compensating for? I didn't say anything, because once you say it out loud, it becomes real, and I wasn't ready for that. But now, I couldn't ignore it. The next few days, I started watching, not in a paranoid way, in a quiet way, just paying attention. And the more I watched, the more it felt wrong. Not bad, just unnatural, too smooth, too consistent, like she was always exactly who I wanted her to be. And that's the problem. No one is that, all the time. One night, we were sitting on the couch, TV on, same routine. Emily was next to me, closer than usual, her hand resting lightly on mine. She smiled, not big, but perfect. And I realized something in that moment. I couldn't remember the last time she reacted without thinking first. Everything felt filtered, and that's when the feeling changed. From appreciation to suspicion. A few nights later, everything shifted, not because of something big, because of something small. I came home early, unexpectedly. The house was quiet, lights low. Emily was in the kitchen, phone on the counter. Screen lit. Unlocked. And this time, I didn't hesitate. I looked. I looked. Not because I wanted to find something, but because at that point, I already knew something didn't feel real. And I needed to know why. The phone was on the counter. Screen lit. Messages open. I didn't touch it. Didn't need to. The angle was enough. The message at the top said, "Did you try what we talked about?" My chest tightened. Because that didn't sound like an affair. It sounded like coaching. Then another message came in. "Be consistent." That's the key. That one hit differently. Because it explained everything. The perfection. The timing. The reactions. It wasn't natural. It was learned. I stepped back. Slowly. Like if I moved too fast. Everything would fall into place too quickly. "Hey." Her voice behind me. I turned. Emily stood in the doorway, watching me. Her eyes moved to the counter, then back to me. And in that moment, everything shifted. Because she knew. Not what I saw, but that I saw something. "How long have you been home?" she asked. "Just got in." Not a lie, but not the truth either. She walked past me, picked up her phone, locked it. That movement said everything. Not panic, not fear, control. We stood there. Same kitchen, different reality. "I saw your messages," I said. Silence. Immediate. She didn't ask what. Didn't pretend. Didn't deny. "What did you see?" she asked. Same tone. Calm. Prepared. "I saw enough," I said. She exhaled slowly. Looked down. Then back up. And something in her face shifted. Not guilt. Something else. Relief. That caught me off guard. Like she had been holding something in for a long time. "Who is it?" I asked. She hesitated. Then said, "My therapist." That answer didn't land the way she expected. Because instead of calming me, it made everything heavier. "Your therapist is telling you how to act with me?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "I've been going for a few months," she said. Months. Of course. Everything had started changing. A few months ago. "And you didn't tell me?" I asked. She shook her head. I didn't know how. That answer again. Soft. Incomplete. "And instead you what?" "Follow instructions." I said. That came out sharper than I intended. She didn't react. Of course she didn't. That was part of it too. "I was trying to fix us," she said quietly. That sentence stayed. Because it sounded right, but felt wrong. "You were trying to fix us, without me knowing?" I asked. She looked at me. "I tried before," she said. That landed. Hard. Because I knew what she meant. Conversations we never finished. Things I brushed off. Moments I didn't take seriously. "I didn't think you'd listen," she added. That one stayed in the room. Because it wasn't angry. It was certain. And certainty like that doesn't come from one moment. It comes from pattern. "So, you decided to what? Become someone else?" I asked. She shook her head. "No," she said. Then corrected herself. "I tried to become who I thought you needed." That sentence hit deeper than anything else. Because it explained everything. The perfection. The timing. The way she showed up exactly how I always wanted. It wasn't real. It was constructed. "Why didn't you just tell me?" I asked. She looked down. "Because every time I try to tell you something real, you made it smaller," she said. That one landed. Hard. Because it was simple. And true. Every time she brought something emotional, I minimized it. Turned it into something manageable. Something easy. Something I didn't have to sit in. "I thought I was keeping things calm," I said. She nodded. "You were," she said. That pause again. Then she added, "For you." That one stayed. Because it explained everything. I had built a version of our relationship. That worked for me. Less conflict. Less emotion. But also, less truth. And now? I asked. She looked at me. "I didn't know how to bring it back," she said. So instead, she tried to rebuild it. Without me knowing. Following advice. Acting differently. Becoming better. But not real. "That's why I fell off," I said. She nodded. "Because it wasn't me," she said. That silence after that sentence was heavy. Because I understood it. Not fully, but enough. She wasn't cheating. But she wasn't honest either. She had created a version of herself that I wanted. And in doing that, she removed the version that was real. "Does your therapist know about me?" I asked. She nodded. "Yes." "What did you tell them?" "That you're a good man." That hit. Harder than expected. "And a husband?" I asked. She didn't answer. Didn't need to. I nodded slowly. Then asked the question that mattered most. "Are you going to keep doing this?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately. And that silence told me everything. I don't know, she said. That answer again. But now, it meant something different. It meant she didn't know how to be herself with me anymore. And that might have been worse than anything else. The worst part wasn't that she had changed. It was that she didn't feel safe being real with me. So she built someone else instead. She built someone else instead. And I didn't even notice the difference at first. That's what stayed with me. Not just that she changed, but that I accepted it, welcomed it, preferred it. Emily sat across from me at the kitchen table. Phone face down now. Like that mattered. Like turning it over changed anything about what had already been said. I looked at her differently. Not like my wife. Not fully. More like someone I had been living with. Without really knowing. And maybe that went both ways. How long have you felt like you couldn't be yourself with me? I asked. That question hit her immediately. Not because it was aggressive. Because it was direct. She didn't answer right away. She didn't look at me. She just sat there, thinking. Finally, she said, I don't know when it started. That answer didn't frustrate me. Because I understood it. Things like that don't start in a moment. They build. Quietly. Piece by piece. Until one day. They're just there. But I know when I noticed it, she added. I leaned forward slightly. When? I asked. She looked at me. For the first time, I felt like I had to filter what I said around you, she said. That sentence landed harder than anything else. Because it didn't sound dramatic. It sounded subtle. And subtle things are dangerous. Because they don't force you to act. They just slowly change how you exist. What were you filtering? I asked. She gave a small, tired smile. Everything, she said. Then she explained. Not in a rush. Not emotionally. Just clearly. If I was upset, I simplified it. If I was frustrated, I toned it down. If I needed something, I made it smaller. Each sentence felt familiar. Because I had been there for all of it. I just hadn't seen it. Why? I asked. She didn't hesitate this time. Because every time I didn't, it felt like too much for you. That one stayed. Because it wasn't said with anger. It was said like a fact. Like something she had tested. Over and over. Until she learned the pattern. And patterns don't lie. I didn't mean to make you feel like that, I said. She nodded. I know, she said. That answer again. And every time she said it, it meant the same thing. Intent doesn't erase impact. We sat there in silence for a moment. Then I asked the question I didn't want to ask. Was the version of you these past few months real at all? She paused, then said, parts of it. That answer hurt. Because it wasn't a lie. It was worse. It meant the things I liked, the things I'd been waiting for, weren't completely fake. They were just guided, shaped, adjusted. You were trying to be better, I said. She shook her head. I was trying to be acceptable, she said. That sentence stayed. Because it reframed everything. Not better. Acceptable. Something that fits. Something that doesn't create friction. Something that doesn't get reduced. And suddenly, all the improvements I had appreciated felt different. Not like growth. Like adaptation. And adaptation, when it goes too far, is just another form of disappearance. I didn't want you to disappear, I said quietly. She looked at me. I didn't either, she said. That one landed. Because it meant neither of us planned this. We just slowly created it. Together. Without realizing it. One moment at a time. I thought things were getting better. I admitted. She nodded. I know, she said. Then added. They were getting easier. That difference. Cut deep. Because easier is not better. Easier just means less resistance. Less truth. Less friction. And sometimes, less connection. We both sat there. In that realization. Then I asked the question that mattered most. Do you even know how to be yourself with me anymore? That one hit her. Really hit her. She didn't answer immediately. And that silence said everything. I don't know, she said. That answer again. But this time, it felt final. Not uncertain. Just honest. And honesty like that is hard to come back from. Because it means something fundamental is gone. Not love. Not history. But safety. The kind of safety where you don't have to edit yourself. The kind of safety where you can say the wrong thing and still feel like you belong. We heard movement upstairs. Harper first. Then Liam. Kids. The part of the story that makes everything real. Harper appeared in the hallway. Sleepy. Confused. Why are you guys still up? She asked. Emily answered too quickly. Why are you still up? Harper frowned. That's not what I asked. Liam stood behind her. Older. Quieter. Watching. Are you guys okay? He asked. That question again. Simple. Direct. Heavy. I looked at Emily. Then back at them. We're talking, I said. Emily added, it's okay. But it didn't feel okay. And they knew it. Kids always know. Harper stepped closer. Are we okay? She asked. That one hit harder than everything else. Because it wasn't about us anymore. It was about them. The structure they lived inside. The thing they trusted without thinking. And suddenly, everything felt bigger. I crouched slightly. We love you, I said. That doesn't change. Harper looked at Emily. Emily nodded. Never, she said. Liam watched us both. Longer than I expected. Then he nodded once. Okay, he said, and gently guided Harper back upstairs. When their doors closed, the silence felt different. Not private anymore. Real. Because now it wasn't just about us. It was about what happens next. I looked at Emily and asked the question that had been building all night. Are you willing to stop pretending and actually be real with me? That question changed everything. Because it wasn't about the therapist, or the changes, or even the past few months. It was about now. About what comes next. She looked at me, and I saw it in her face. Fear. Not of me. Of being real. Because being real means risk, conflict, possibility of not being accepted. I don't know if you'll like the real version of me, she said quietly. That sentence stayed, because it explained everything. She didn't hide because she wanted to deceive me. She adjusted because she was afraid of losing me. And in doing that, she lost herself instead. If you're watching this, I said quietly, and your relationship feels easy, but not real, pay attention. Because most relationships don't break from big moments. They break from small adjustments. One person starts editing themselves. The other starts accepting the edited version. And over time, you're no longer in a relationship with each other. You're in a relationship with versions. Safer, easier, but not real. Emily didn't cheat on me, but she did something that felt just as heavy. She stopped being herself with me. And the part that still stays with me is that I didn't notice. Because I liked the version she replaced herself with.